Hello everyone, welcome to our session for the model answer for Anthropology Paper 1 2025. Today we are going to just understand how we need to frame the language of the questions as well as how we need to provide everything which is desired by the examiner. I mean, the kind of key point, the kind of outline, the kind of underlining the things, the whole structure. Fine. So, in this lecture, you are going to have the complete answer, the model answer, that is the highly relevant model answer for the complete paper for the year 2025, paper 1. In this paper, we are going to see the model answer for 28 questions. Now, if you need the PDF, the kind of PDF that I'm going to use here in terms of the model answer, you can just text us with the number that is available in the description box, and also you can just fill up the form, that Google form that is attached there you can fill up your query like you require the PDF for the model answer for paper 1, and we are going to share it with you. Okay, so now let's start. If you have any sort of doubt, you can just ask. Hanji, good afternoon. Good afternoon. If you have any sort of doubt, anything related to the any of the question or anything, you can just clearly ask me there. Fine. Now let's start. See, I can prepare very fancy PPT and all, but then the essence of showing you the complete answer in the answer like structure, it fade away. Therefore, today I'm not going to provide you very fancy PDF. I am just going to provide you this model. This model which would include the question as well as the answer in a structured way. But before that, I just want to again tell you that what are the kind of thing we need to pay attention whenever we are thinking about writing any answer for the UPSC questions. Fine. So let's first understand that. Now, the most important thing, which is like I am perfectly audible or not? I am audible perfectly in the online. See, whenever you are talking about any sort of PYQs related to, especially for anthropology, so here there are something which is relevant for paper 1. Now I would be taking up another session for the paper 2 as well, but here let's focus on the paper 1. One thing you know very well, that in terms of the topics that have been asked related to the paper 1, they are either the socio-culture anthropology or the archaeological anthropology. Why? Because you know there is unit 1.8 and then the physical or biological anthropology. Now, in terms of these topics, if you are writing any answer, what are the key points or the key areas where you need to put more focus? So, see, first of all, these topics, they are like especially the socio-culture anthropology. It is including the usage of the thinkers, the anthropologist, any reference that you can provide from your side. So therefore, if you are writing any question of socio-culture anthropology, then the key point which is important is that you should have clarity of definition. I mean, you are using the right anthropologist at the right time and you are giving the right reference. So that's why, first of all, you need to have the clarity of the definition. Therefore, while preparing, like if you are aspiring for the year 2026 and you are preparing for your optional, so you need to put more emphasis in case of socioculture anthropology about the anthropologist's name and their reference. How you can do that? Already I have taken so many sessions how to prepare short notes and how to remember these. Also, we are having the anthro enrichment batch in which we are training the same. Now, another thing where you need to put more and more emphasis is the proper structure. That's why, like, just to give you the overview about structure, we are having this performa, introduction and the usage of the headings. Fine. Now, The third and the most important point where we need to put more focus is the usage of appropriate diagram. Fine. So the usage of the appropriate diagram at the right time, at the right place, that is also required. I mean, you cannot add upon unnecessary diagrams. You need to use the diagrams which is adding value. Like there would be some areas where you can use hub and spoke, like this kind of way. Just to give the example, in terms of any function, in terms of any feature or something. But this is not going to work everywhere. Some diagrams, they should be explanatory diagrams. Self explanatory means after making diagram you don't need to give explanation again. Now, after that, usage of the case studies. I have already taken the sessions just to explain you the approach for the paper 1 and paper 2, where I told you that now UPSC is changing their way of asking the question. Now they are asking more elaborative application based questions. So directly they are not asking you the current affair, but if you will add upon the current affair, if you will add upon the case studies and examples in terms of application, then your answer, they are going to provide you more marks and they will look more enriching. Fine. So case studies and examples. On the same line, we are going to provide you the question in terms of model answer. One more thing, tomorrow 3 p.m. to 5 p.m., if you want to come offline or online, you want to show your answer in terms of the the paper 1 2025, you can come there at Sunya office. Fine. And there is number available in the description box. Here you can just book your slot. Fine. So you will receive the feedback. Now let's start with the thing. So here first we are going to have the section A. In the section A, there is the first question. You know already that the question 1 is compulsory question, and the question 1, it includes 5 sections, 5 head, and all these 5 questions, they carry 10 marks each. So therefore the question 1, it includes 50 marks. Now let's see. One more thing, you know already that the answer for this question we have to write 150 words. One more thing, is it visible to you? Just let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to zoom it because I just want you to read the kind of language that we have to frame whenever we are writing the answer. Because 10 marker question, they are the direct question. Here, there is no need to frame the ground. Here, there is no need that you are going to write something from the background. Fine. Is it completely visible to you? Let me know. Okay, now let's start. See, this question is asking about Mendelian and non-Mendelian traits. As you can see, Mendelian and non-Mendelian traits. Now, earlier in the first session, I told you that if this is a thumb rule, if there is a question which includes and in between, therefore you either need to tell the relation and role of one for the application of another, or either you need to tell something in terms of relationship. And relationship, it includes about explanation of similarities and differences. Now, in terms of the question, you can see that the language is saying that Mendelian and non-Mendelian traits, they are Mendelian and non-Mendelian traits, they are explaining about something which is similar. Therefore, we can also talk about some sort of comparison between these two. Fine. Is it visible now? Is it visible now after zooming? Now? Okay, see, now In the introduction, what is the requirement? See, I told you that there are four ways to start with any question. Now, if the first way is mentioning something about the anthropologist as well as provide their explanation related to the topic. Either you can provide the meaning, or you can provide the origin, or you can start with the example. Now, as per this question, we cannot start with the example. We cannot start with the meaning. Why? Because these are two terms, and which term I am going to define first. Another thing, I cannot talk about the origin, but what I can do is I can explain the origin with the anthropologist name, and that's how we have framed the language. So the language as we have framed is Gregor Mendel is the father of genetics. This is something that we can explain. This is something that we have to specify. So Gregor Mendel, he was the father of genetics, and this is the first word in terms of a key point you have to mention. Because Mendelian and non-Mendelian traits, how it started is started with the some of the efforts from the side of the Gregor Mendel, and he proposed the law of inheritance. Now read the language. How I have framed the introduction. Each and every point is including the things which are being required to show the relationship. Fine. See, if there is this question, I cannot explain about Mendel, or I cannot explain about non Mendelian traits. So, therefore, I am taking up on the midway. Now, I am just reading the introduction. You can understand how to frame the language. Gregor Mendel is the father of genetics, proposed the law of inheritance based on the pea plant experiment. This is the first sentence. Now, second sentence. This law this basically includes the law of segregation and independent assortment. These explain the inheritance of Mendelian traits. But everyone was not very much comfortable with the Mendelian traits, and later on in the upcoming time period, there were two anthropologists, basically William Batson and Thomas Hunt Morgan. They show there are so many traits which do not follow the Mendelian pattern. Therefore, they give rise to what? To non Mendelian inheritance. And it is basically providing connection with the body and giving both the views about Mendelian and non Mendelian traits. Fine. Now, let's talk about the body part. Now, in the body part, you have to explain about both the traits. Now, it's a 10 marker question. So, what I need to mention first the meaning, then some sort of types of the Mendelian traits, as well as some examples. So, this is what I need to show for this answer. So, in terms of Mendelian traits, we are going to provide a basic explanation. Mendelian traits, they are controlled by a single gene, and it show clear dominant recessive relationship. Fine. So this is what we have to show. Now, in terms of examples, they are more important. So in terms of example, we can talk about, like, in the explanation also we can provide about the Punnett square. If you know about the Punnett square, you can just mention the name. See, when I'm saying Mendelian inheritance, I am expecting you to explain or to mention some key point. What are those? First, the reference of the Mendel, then Punnett square, then pea plant experiment, because this was the origin of these traits. Other than this, I require you to explain something about law of segregation and law of independent assortment. Other than this, I want you to explain something about codominance, something about incomplete dominance. So I am expecting you to mention these. If you have mentioned these key points, it means your answer is good. Therefore, whenever you are writing any answer, do not start plain writing. First, focus. First, do the brainstorming. First, try to analyze the key points which are being part of this question, and then start framing the sentences. This exercise, it will surely help you if you are facing that how to start writing. So first of all, I have already taken one lecture for approaches. So just take those approaches as the base, then keep some key point, and then frame the language. Fine. So this is how you need to do. Now, here in terms of example, what we can do? We can give the example of the widow peak. We can give the example of the tongue rolling, because there are some tongue roller, there are some non tongue roller, and when we are comparing the tongue roller with the non tongue roller, and let us suppose a tongue roller is getting married with the non tongue roller, now what is the probability that their child they are going to have? So in this question we don't need to explain those, but we need to give the reference of the examples. Fine. Another thing, in terms of this, we can also give the example of cystic fibrosis, like when the excessive mucus due because of the CFTR gene, there is some sort of mutation in the CFTR gene, and because of this, the kind of thick mucus is being developed in your lungs, and that's why it may block your airways. And this is basically a genetic disease. Why? Because in the body, the quotient of the salt and the water is not being maintained properly, and therefore the mucus is getting more thickened, and if it is thickened, then it started depositing at one place. So we don't need to explain this, but we should know about it in terms of example, and we have to show. So if I have to explain you in a very simple term, the thing is this, that you have to explain about the examples. Examples should be there in your answer. Fine, now let's see other one. So once we have explained about the Mendelian traits, another heading it should be non-Mendelian traits. Now let's see non-Mendelian traits. So in the same way, we just need to write down that the non-Mendelian traits, they are just deviating from the classical Mendelian point, which is saying there is a single gene. But it's not always important that there are single gene. There are so many multiple factor, multiple gene which are responsible for that. See, mentioning about incomplete dominance, mentioning about codominance. So we are expecting you to mention something about such kind of inheritance which includes the usage of so many of the gene. Like you can talk about the mitochondrial inheritance, and for this the best example you can quote is about the Leber hereditary optical neuropathy. In this aspect, the young child or somewhere adult child, they suddenly started losing their eyesight. Why? Because optical nerves, they are being hampered, and this is being considered as in terms of a inheritance. And that's because of whom? That is because of transmitted in terms of mitochondrial inheritance. Fine. So this is also being considered as one of the point. Now what to write in the conclusion? See, it is not always important. So mark my word, what I'm saying, it is not always important to write conclusion in 10 marker question if the question is from physical anthropology. What I'm saying is that it is not always important. If the content is much elaborative, you can skip the conclusion, but only for physical anthropology. But in this question, see, this question is open-ended question, which is asking you Mendelian or non-Mendelian. Therefore, I have to tell in the conclusion that both are working well. And if you do remember, if you have watched the approach based lecture of mine, I have told you that if you are confused about what to write in the conclusion, that have only one thing in your mind, that you need to write significance or application of that particular topic in the conclusion. I mean, for the human being, how it could help. Now, see the language of the conclusion. Both traits help anthropologists to study. Like what we are doing, we are giving importance to both the traits, maybe serving the different purposes, but both are helpful to provide human variation, population genetics, evolutionary processes. Like Mendelian traits provide clarity on basic inheritance, whereas non-Mendelian highlight the complex interplay of gene, environment, and epigenetics. So that's how you need to frame the language, and I hope you got the clarity about it. Fine. So this is something that we have related to this question. Now let's move forward to the next question. Next question is basically asking about the theoretical significance of Purum kinship system. As I told you, even if you don't know about the Purum kinship system, still you can manage. I'm not saying that you will get complete marks, but something is better than nothing. if you would write the significance of the kinship system, and you know what is the significance, that it assists in the marriage alliances. I know the structure and the usage of the Purum culture is different. It is completely different, but yes, we can relate it with that. Fine. So, see here, read the language. Now, they have asked Purum kinship system. It means they want you to explain something specific in the introduction. You cannot start directly with just mentioning about the kinship system. And again, it's a 10 marker question, and I told you you need to be very much uh, up to the point. Fine. So because it's a Purum, so you know there is a Tibeto-Burman group, and in the Tibeto-Burman group, Purum is basically a kinship system. Where it is found? It is found in the Manipur. So that's what you will show. Now, who studied it? There was a British, like a pioneered British anthropologist, W.H.R. Reaver. He did that. Now, let us suppose you don't know about it. Still, you can manage writing about the Purum kinship structure. But if you know about it, then it is the basic requirement to mention the name of the anthropologist on the first place. Because we have so many other kinship system. Why it is important? Because it is being diligently, in a very descriptive way, being studied. Fine. So see, W.H.R. Reaver, W.H.R. Reaver, he studied the Purum tribe of the Manipur. Purum, they are the Tibeto-Burman indigenous ethnic group of Manipur. See, there is no hard and fast rule to right answer. If you have the performa in your mind that these are something that I have to write, something about the topic, you can just write that necessary part and you can eliminate if you are writing something unnecessary. Now, Purum means what? These are the organized system into the clan. So these are being called as organized clan. Now, how this kinship system is working? So in the introduction, we will provide some detail about it, and we had given these things, like we had mentioned about the WHR river, we have mentioned about the Tibeto-Burman indigenous ethnic group. We had given the details about it. Once we are done with that, then we cannot directly jump on the theoretical significance of Purum kinship system. Before that, we have to provide some sort of kinship structure of the Purum. Then, after explaining about the kinship structure, then we can create heading of theoretical significance of Purum kinship system. And this is the thumb rule, that you need to use headings, subheadings in point wise manner. If you are using heading, then the heading of this answer, it should be with consistency of the language of the question. This is the first thumb rule. And if you will prepare like this, if you will try to write this, you are not going to face any sort of difficulty. Why? Because then you know how to do the things. Fine. Okay, now see, kinship structure of the Purum. First, we have to explain that. So, in the Purum, this is the diagram which is required. Now, where you can frame the diagram? See, as I earlier told you, that let us suppose if this is the page space available to you, I mean the two page spaces available to you. So what you can do here, you will write the introduction, then you will prepare the first heading, you will create the heading, here another heading, here create a box, and then within the box prepare the diagram. This is for a 10 marker question. And here also write the point. Why? Because if you will be writing your paper, then out of the 28 question you have to write 19 question. So like humanly it's not possible to write 10 क्वेश्चंस जो है 10 मार्कर बहुत सजा सजा के आप नहीं लिख पाते हो, एंड ह्यूमनली इट्स नॉट पॉसिबल. प्रैक्टिकली अगर मैं आपको बोलूँ तो रेमिनेंट पार्ट ही होता है जो मिलता है 10 मार्कर क्वेश्चन को, बिकॉज ऑलरेडी यू हैव टू राइट फर्स्ट 20 मार्कर एंड देन 15 मार्कर. सो दैट्स वाई try to use more and more diagram, and it is the requirement, because if you have to explain you need to show the diagram. Now, what is this Purum culture? This Purum culture is somehow telling you that there is a clan based marriage system. Let us suppose clan A, they had given their daughter to the clan C. Clan C had given. Now it is the responsibility of the clan C that they need to provide the women to the B. And now it's the responsibility of the B that they have to provide women to the A. B cannot deny to give their women, to their daughter, to the clan A as in terms of a wife. They cannot. If they will deny, then A is going to deny to the C and C is going to deny to the B. So therefore they have to maintain this circle, and this is called as the strict kinship marriage alliance. Later on, Levi-Strauss, he also explained about the marriage alliance, where we used to see that some sort of clan based system is being performed here. So that's how you need to create the alignment related to this part. Fine. Now see, first, you will explain about the kinship structure of the Purum. So here you will explain about that they are being divided into what. So you know very well that they are going to be attached with the endogamy or exogamy. For sure, they are going to attach with the exogamy. So that's how this system you will create. Okay. Now, in the marriage alliance, you are going to explain about their exchange in between. You will also explain that what are the system they have. So they are not having an open system, they are having a closed system. Fine. So after that you will explain about the theoretical significance. As I told you, use the same language for mentioning the heading. So what they did, demonstration of the prescriptive. So they are having prescriptive marriage, means they are defining, they are illustrating how the marriage rules they should be, and they are basically shaping the social interaction. Next, they are validating the alliance theory. Why? Because in the alliance theory, same, Levi-Strauss created some sort of significance related to the availability of the clan, so that they can have the marriages. Next, it leads to challenges to the descent centering model. So there is a descent centric model, means someone is going to get married with you when they know about your descent. It means your descent is something which is important, and when we have a descent centric model, that's how the Purum culture is helping us. Another point, relevance of the marriage. So it is basically providing us that the marriage, they are very much relevant to each other, and if they are relevant to each other, it, that's how we are having availability of the marriage, the kinship, the family in the community. Now, as this question is from the social culture, so there is no if and but to provide the conclusion, and you have to give conclusion. So the conclusion you need to provide is that the Purum kinship system is significant. As I told you, the thumb rule is just mention about the significance. So the Purum kinship system, it is significant. Significant, why? Because it provides a framework for social organization. So you just need to tell what would be the significance of this particular thing. The significance that it is providing us to maintain some sort of identity, it is helping us to maintain some sort of social organization. Other than this, it is also helping us to maintain the community cohesion. Fine. So all these things it is helping us to maintain. Another part, it also ensure that there would be continuity in terms of the marriage rule. It also ensure that there is less chances of having the like some sort of genetic disease, gene based disease. Why? Because if your clan are same, quite possible there is duplication of the DNA, which may cause the mutation and then the genetic disorder, but through this you can avoid it. So this is the significance of this Purum kinship system, and I hope you have understood well related to this system. Fine. Now let's move forward to the next question, and the next question is osteodontoceretic culture and its maker. Here also, and this question, as you can understand, related to the physical anthropology. So yes, you can avoid conclusion, but this question is asking about its maker, so we don't have so much of the content to write. Yes, we can quote some example, but what to write about the maker? Same thing, that we found the bone, we found the teeth, we found the horn. Now what was the usage of that? Therefore this question, it is not having a scope, so we'll try to fill up the words. Okay, now see, this is saying that it was introduced by the Raymond Ford Dart in the 1950s. based on the fossil evidence. Now, this question, it includes ambiguous term. Therefore, you have to explain about the meaning of these words. So you will explain osteo, the bones, odonto, the teeth, and horns, the keratic. This is the prerequisite. As I told you, every single time you have to explain about what are the key points. So this is how you need to show. Now, it proposed that early hominin they used these material as a tool, as a weapon. Here, you will also show that it is providing basis to the killer ape hypothesis. So, the hypothesis that we have, that apes used to kill. And do we have some sort of like a justification for that? We'll write further. But now, the requirement for this question is, first, you have mentioned something in the introduction. Now, in the body, what I need to show about the culture or about the maker? First point is culture. So first I will explain the culture. Then second point is maker. Then I will explain the maker. And that's how you need to show. Now let's see nature. Nature of the osteodontocheratic culture. So the nature is this, that they have these tools because they have usage. What kind of usage? We are going to write down. They used to cut, they used to scrap, and they are using them in terms of a weapon. Now, another point. These organic tools, they are considered substitute for the absence of stone tools. It means it is providing us some sort of insights about the people and about their way of living and all other details related to them. Now, another thing. Here we need to mention the example. One more very much important thing, that how this culture or this type of thing started. So Raymond Dart, he found some sort of fossils where at Maka Pansagat fossils assemblage. Here he found this primary evidence, and he found that these primary evidence, they are in the abundance. It means even if they are related to the bone of someone, teeth of any animal or something, still they are found in abundance. It means mostly all the people, more or less all the people, they were using the same. If something is found in the abundance, it means that there were more and more usage of all these things. Now we can relate it with the so many example, like we have the tongue baby. So the in case of the tongue baby, we somehow found some sort of tools, or somehow we found the absence of these tools. Therefore we cannot certainly say the usage of all these in terms of a weapon. But still, in this question, they are not asking us to maintain that controversy or to maintain that ambiguity. Here they are asking us about the culture. So we have explained about the culture. After that, we have to explain about the like those maker who created this. Fine. So to show the maker, we are going to explain about the details about whom? About the Australopithecus. So we are going to provide some details about the Australopithecus. Why? Because we found that Australopithecus, they were the one who provided us these types of details. See, maker of the osteodontocheratic culture, this is what we need to provide. Now they have asked us this much only, like what is this culture, what are their maker. But after this, we have to explain about the significance, so that we can relate that why this is being studied. As I told you, there is no such scope to write so many things about it. Therefore we have to create some sort of headings. Now, in a 20 marker question, it is being studied how many approaches you are including. But in a 10 marker question, this is not the case. Here you can write up to the point. Now see, the anthropological significance, the maker of the osteodontocheratic culture, it is showing that they are related to the Australopithecus. There is a bipedal early hominin from South Africa. They are living around 2.5 to 3 million year ago. He argued that they were predatory hunter. They were using the bones for what? For subsistence. But we have some example of the tongue baby as well, which show the Australopithecus remains, which is providing the like ambiguity about using this. So therefore we are providing them detail that these explanation based upon assumption. We are not telling something with the certainty. Now, another heading, anthropological significance. In terms of significance, we are just going to tell that how these studies can provide us insights about the past people, the previous people. So here we can say that because they are using these tools, so they must be having some work related to that. What could be? It means they are dependent upon hunting, and they were having animal like instinct, means they were considering other animal only as a food. Next, it emphasizes that the potential importance of aggression in the hominin social structure. It is also showing some sort of taphonomic analysis, means the kind of analysis which help us to distinguish the human made from a naturally accumulated bones. Means we are just trying to find out that if there is bones in the abundance, so they are related to any normal human being bones remnant, or they are in another form, so that we can show that it is in terms of a usage. Now see, we all are living, we all are having so many vessels, we all are having so many tools with us. Now let us suppose we found all these tools. Now another thing, just try to understand. Let us suppose tools that we required for like a mechanic, what kind of tools he is required. So the kind of tools a mechanic is required, these you cannot find in abundance. The reason, because there is some person, certain person who are doing the same. But let us suppose we are talking about the vessels. Every single home you will find out variety of vessels, yes or no? It means it is in terms of usage. If we are finding something in abundance, it means it was more in the usage, and that is this analysis is telling us. Fine. Now, it also encourages the multidisciplinary approach, and this approach, it is combining so many other studies like archaeology, like geology, like the comparative ethnography and all. Fine. So that's how we are going to explain about it. Now, what to mention in the conclusion? Okay, you are going to tell me. See, as I told you in the introduction, you can mention about the significance. Now, already we had given significance because we were not having any another point to write down. So, what we can write down in the conclusion? See, osteodontoceretic culture, genuinely created by Australopithecus or not, it represent a key point in the study of early human behavior. This is the simple thing that we have to show in terms of the conclusion, because the study, the explanation we had given, we are not certain about it. This is what we are telling, that we are not certain about it, and that's how we are going to relate with it. Fine? Okay, now moving forward to the next question, that is smell as a signal among the non human primates. Now, create this thing in your mind, already create this thing in your mind, that here you have to explain about the olfactory senses. Second, they are saying smell as a signal among the non human primates. So, I should have example so that I can show to explain about the non-human primates. This is what the key point, and this is what is required. Now another thing, the requirement is the name of any anthropologist or someone who actually invented the same sense as a signal for the non-human primates. So there was Michael Tomslow, and there was other primatologist who explain about this thing. I mean, what kind of way they are using in terms of communication. So therefore, in your key point, there should be vision, vocalization, olfaction, basically smell, which is being used as a crucial signal. So all these things should be there. Now we have to create a full-fledged performa for this. Now see, what kind of heading we need to use. First, you need to provide explanation about olfactory signal. Why? Because smell is being considered as a olfactory signal. Then you need to tell the role of it. Role, because what kind of thing they are doing. Either for the sexual receptivity, means the male person of male species, they used to smell the situation of the female during their fertile days. So therefore, they used to have sexual receptivity and the fertility. and then they get the clarity that now the mate is fertile and it is the ideal time for the mating. Other than this, there are so many, like you must have seen that the dogs, they are also smelling the territories. They just want to see that is it really marked by another dog or not. Fine. Another thing, example of primates using olfactory signal. This is something which is very important. This is the basic key point for this question. Here you have to mention the example. This is the first prerequisite. Now, what are those? Ringtail. So, what are those? Ringtail lemur. Then we have sifakas. We have tamarins. We have nocturnal primates like tarsiers, like lemur, tarsiers. So, all these, like they have different ways. See, tarsiers, they rely on the smell for individual recognition. Spider monkeys, they also used to mark the branches so that they can define their territories. So these examples, they are the prerequisite, you have to mention about it. Fine. Now what we need to do, we need to write the significance. See, if there is any open ended question now and you are confused what to write, then first explain about the topic, then mention some example, and then mention significance. This is the best approach. And even if like you are feeling clueless what to write, write about the significance. Significance are not importance. Importance means why it is important. Significance means why it is in usage, in application, in importance for any certain thing, for any certain perspective. This is how you need to show. Fine. Now in the conclusion you will mention olfaction in the non-human primates, it's a vital channel of social communication influencing the reproduction. Yes, I mean in terms of their application, reproduction is one of the point, hierarchy, bonding, then territoriality is also one of the point. Fine, so that's how you can show it. Now moving forward to the next question, that is culture and embodiment. Here in this part, what you need to explain, either to explain about embodiment, yes, this term is requiring some sort of explanation because this is not a usual term. Culture is something that we know. So, what we should do in the introduction? In the introduction, it would be better if you explain the usage of the embodiment in terms of the culture. So, that's how you need to frame your introduction. So, see the language of the introduction. The concept of embodiment in anthropology pioneered by the Marshall Moss. Now, let us suppose you are not aware of this name. Then you can take upon these model answer. You can add upon the information from these model answer in your unit. Now, another kind of free ka gyan that I just want to provide here. Whenever you are preparing for your optional, there should be one stop solution for that. One stop solution means one booklet for each part, and this one booklet, it includes everything. If you are writing any test, if you are reading any model answer, just do not highlight in that model answer booklet or something. Just add on, just pick up that information, add in your notes, that your one stop solution. This is the right approach to do the things. This is the only right approach to do the things. Fine. Now, culture and the body. So here we just want to specify that embodiment means when with the help of your body you are showing the culture. Now see, when I'm saying that, the first prerequisite is to show the example. So that therefore this question, it should include as many example as you can mention. See, you can mention about Japanese culture. You can mention about Victorian era. In those in during that time period, female bodies, like in so many culture, they were having the habit that they used to tighten their stomach area so that it will look like in a very in a very good shape for the beautification. Not only this, in today's time period, there is having ridge kind of removal surgery which is providing the curvature. So that's how in terms of, in some of in some of the culture where the women, they are being taken upon in materialistic form, they have to dance and they have to do some sort of drama and something. What, because of that, the women, it should be in a very good type of body that is showing their culture. Here we are not going to explain about it, but that is showing their culture. Fine. Other than this, we need to show embodiment as in terms of experience, like Kathakali performance. They undergo years of bodily training so that they can use the facial expression. And based upon their facial expression, they can explain about their culture. So their culture is showing emotions in each and every part of the situation. Next, Masai warrior. These warrior, they use sacrifices and ornamentation. There are yoga practitioner. Their body type is actually showing their culture only. Fine. Then what to write? Anthropological significance of embodiment. Then you will mentioning that how it lead to the social inequality. Why? Because like you have to mention case studies in each and every point so that you can mention that your answer is something which is good to mention. Fine. So here you need to reveal like there is a foot binding practice in the China. That is another type of beautification. Now in so many of the tribe, like there is a Musi tribe. So the Musi tribe, they used to cut their outer edge of the lips to bring a plate there. And if you can put a larger plate, it will ensure your beautification. Those women, as they are cutting their outer edge of the lips of the lower lip, they can't even speak. Fine. So there is Musi tribe, Suri tribe. So these are the kind of thing they have. Now another thing, here you need to show the example like obesity is somehow showing the urban India. Why? In the rural India you will found very less example of the obesity. So obesity is showing what? It is showing sitting culture, it is showing materialistic culture, it is showing a culture of convenience. Fine. So these are the kind of thing which we have to show. Now that's how we are done with our questions related to the 10 marker. Now let's focus upon the 20 marker question. See, the first question, discuss the Miocene hominid remains and their significance in the evolution. In the approach based lecture, like previously we had, there I had provided the complete details about the approach, like what to write. Here we are directly will see. See, it's a Miocene hominid remains. Therefore, in the introduction, the prerequisite is I have to tell you the time period when these Miocene time period was related. Another thing, it was related to the which kind of species. I mean, how we are categorizing them. So, see, the Miocene epoch, it represents a crucial phase in the primate evolution, and this is marked by the emergence and diversification of early apes or hominid. This is how it is providing us in terms of a detail. Now, who just explained about this Miocene time period? So, therefore, in the first line, I have given the time slot because this is important to tell you the Miocene era. Once we had done with that, second point that what we need to do is explaining about the role of the Indologist, anthropologist who had given about it. So there is Louis Leakey, G.E. Lewis. So therefore, now if you are preparing, you are aspiring for the 2026, for that time period, you need to focus upon each and every unit. In each and every unit, there are multiple topic. In the multiple topic, at least you should remember, you can prepare a separate list. That's how I'm training in the enrichment batch. Enrichment come test series batch, like that is Anthro 300 plus, in which I'm training that how you can get to know what are the key points in each topic and what to remember related to the topic and what is the approach of UPSC to ask. Here, you have to mention the name of the anthropologist just to tell who basically described about the Miocene era. Now, after like you have explained it, then in the body part, you need to explain about the hominids, the hominids of the Miocene time period. So here, therefore, I will explain about major Miocene hominids. Like we are going to mention about the East African, the Kenyapithecus. Other than this, we are going to mention Dryopithecus, Sevapithecus. Like not only this, we are going to include the Gigantopithecus. Fine. So first we are going to mention all these points. We'll explain their time period and some sort of feature related to their time. Once we are done with that, then the question is basically asking you to explain significance in the evolution. I mean, these hominid, what kind of details they provided to us so that we can say that they helped us in this evolution. So it documents the adaptive radiation of the apes across the continent. It is showing ecological and morphological diversification. It also provided us some sort of divergence. Divergence to tell us that apes and human they are different one. Not only this, it also provided us something related to their dietary composition, their body structure, so that we can relate it with the climate changes. So what we need to do? We need to be very much like we need to stick to the point, and we just need to explain about it. Like it shows how climatic changes are there, it shows it illustrating how mosaic evolution is there. So all these detail it need to provide us. I hope you can relate with it. Now this is the significance in evolution. Now what is the other importance this concept is providing us? Fine. So other importance is anthropological contextual importance. Like it support the non-linear model of human evolution. After that we just need to provide some example. These are the kind of example we can give. Like for Sevapithecus, we are not having anything, we are just having the skull structure. This is something that we found. Based upon the skull structure, how based upon their teeth formation we are trying to get views about their dietary component. So these kinds of details about the Miocene hominids providing us something about the lifestyle, something about the climatic changes and all. And then 20 marker question. So then there is no if and but. For a 20 marker question, you have to explain the conclusion. Means here you will be explaining the conclusion. Like Miocene hominids remains, they are vital. They are vital for what? For reconstructing the evolutionary history of whom? Of apes as well as human. So this is what you need to show. I hope you are getting the point. If you are facing any issue, if you want to ask your doubt or something, you can ask. Do you have any doubt? One more thing. You can easily access this PDF of the model answer. What you need to do, you just need to text at the number that is available in the description box, or you can just fill up the Google form and you will get the copy of this model answer. Fine, now let's move further and see the next question. Now, this is a very simple question. Compare contrast symbolic approach of Clifford Gertz and Victor Turner. So for that, what we need to do, we are going to explain about symbolic approach in the introduction. To explain the symbolic approach in the introduction, giving us the meaning about it. So see the language. Symbolic approach focuses on interpreting these symbols. For what? To understand the human thought, their behavior, and their social organization. This is what it is explaining. Among its proponent, Clifford Gertz and Victor Turner, which is very important, they had given their name here also. They developed the influential framework. They emphasized the interpretive analysis. They focused on the meaning of symbol within their local context. This is what we have to show. Now, then what we need to do, this question is just asking about compare and contrast. So that's how we are going to do. Every single time you have to add on the example, case studies, as many as you can from your side, because these are something which is strengthening your points. You won't need to explain more and more if you are just giving examples. See, here we cannot mention so much, like we cannot explain the complete Gertz interpretive approach or Turner ritual process approach. We can't, because we have to write within the time limit. These are the theory, we have done so many lectures for that. We cannot write the complete things, but we can just sum up and then can write something in terms of a case study. And another thing, we don't need to explain the case study again, because this is a kind of interpretive thing, implicit, that you know about the case study, it means you know the detail also. So see, in terms of like maybe you must be having this doubt in your mind that do we need to explain the complete case study? No. Let us suppose you know the complete story about the Nair style of marriage, but you don't need to explain the Nair style of marriage completely until and unless they are asking about it. Otherwise, what you need to do, you just need to write example Nair of Kerala, and that's it. Okay. Now we are having Gert's interpretive approach. So we are explaining this approach define culture as what? As a web of significance spun by whom? By the human. Then see the language. It focuses on thick description. It means we have given the detail about it also. And we are also interpreting the symbol in what? In a social, in a historical, as well as in a local context. This is what we are doing. And most importantly, we will explain about example. In the example we will mention about Balinese cockfight, as well as we will mention about Javanese wayang kulit, means they were having some sort of shadow puppetry. So their shadow puppetry and the theme on the shadow puppetry, how they are forming it, like they are going to have fight also. Shadows puppetry, they used to create a fight out of them. So that's also one of the interpretive approach, like Balinese cockfight. Now, another point is Turner ritual process approach. So, this approach is defining the ritual symbol of the dynamic mediator of social processes. Here, we are going to explain about the rites of passage. Here, we are going to explain about the Nadembu initial ritual. Like in the Nadembu, they used to have the liminal stages. If you do remember, so we just need to give the detail of it. So, if you have a doubt previously in your mind that do we need to explain the complete case study? No, until and unless they are asking you with the name to explain the case study, then explain it. Otherwise, just mention the name and a little bit reference of it. Fine. Now, as this question is asking us to explain, compare and contrast, therefore first you will explain about similarities. Fine. So like some of the student used to ask, ma'am, do we need to write similarities? My answer is yes. We are asking comparison and differences between two related things. I hope you can understand. We are not asking differences between unrelated things. So, because two related things are having differences, it means for sure they must be having some similarities. So, therefore, first mention similarities and then mention the comparison. So, for the comparison, you should have this table. In the table, one side you need to write the aspect of difference and then explanation about it. Fine. So this is how in a simple way you need to do. Now in terms of the conclusion, you will mention about a basic thing about their usage. Fine. Now let's see the next question. How is the political economy integrated with the ecological? Okay, this was a very tricky question. When we were having the explanation now, approach based, that time also I told you that this is a very tricky question, but I told you the way of doing that. Now I will demonstrate the same in terms of model answers. See, how is political economy integrated with ecological and adaptability perspective in biocultural anthropology? How it is being done and in what way it is being explained? See, in the introduction, the key point biocultural anthropology will explain about it. So the introduction, it should be based upon the key point. So biocultural anthropology examine the dynamic interaction between the biology and the culture. And it is highlighting that the human adaptation, the adaptation which is shaped by ecological, social and political factor. Why? Because we have to take upon the political, the ecological and the social factor. This is how we will frame the language. Now, first we will explain about biocultural anthropology with the example. Then we'll explain about political economy. Then we'll relate the integration of political economy with ecological or adaptability. Now let's see next. Explain about political economy in the bioculture, how the political economy is related. So it highlights how the power, inequality access to the resources influence the human health as well as the human adaptation. That's how it is being shown. Now, in terms of the case study, it is showing that like malnutrition among the Saharia and the Gond tribal community in India, it is getting worsened. The reason is because poverty is already there. Proper political structure is not working there. So that's why it is being considered as a very difficult point for them to manage, for them to prosper. Now, like indigenous Amazonian group, they are also facing higher rate of infectious disease. That's also one of the major uh, like setback for that. Now, what we need to do, we need to integrate the political economy with ecological and adaptability perspective. See, the thumb rule is whenever you are finding any question, try to divide that question into parts and then try to focus on each part. This is the best approach whenever you are whenever you are starting writing, because otherwise it feels difficult how to write, what to start, when to write. So that's why this is the kind of thing which will help you in the simplification. Now, integration with the ecological and adaptability perspective, it is what it is combining environmental constraints with social and political determinants to explain the adaptation. Demonstrate that adaptive strategies, they are mediated by both ecological pressure as well as social hierarchy. This is what we have to write, because we are integrating with ecological aspect with the adaptability perspective, so that's why we have to write it in this way. Fine. Here we will be giving example of Masai pastoralist. Why? Because these pastoralists, they practice mobility, and the reason behind their mobility is because they are not able to focus on their nutrition, focus on their health, and that's why it is being considered one of the reason. Fine. Now, next we'll explain about contemporary significance and then the conclusion, and we are done. Fine. Now, let's move forward to the next question. That is basically a 20 marker question. How do anthropologists assess the nutritional status of a community? 20 marker question. Discuss the significance of intersectionality of ecology. Means one heading should be intersectionality of ecology, culture, social inequality. For what? For the study of nutritional anthropology. So, how we need to do that? We need to relate it with the nutritional anthropology. Now, what to write in the introduction? As I told you, there are four ways to start with the introduction: either anthropologist name, either origin, either meaning, or example. Now, see, this question is asking about how do anthropologists assess the nutritional status. So, can I explain about the state of malnutrition, the nutritional status of the country, so that now I can prepare the base? Yes, that would be the best approach. So, we started with it. The Global Hunger Index ranked India 111 out of 125 countries, and this is your learning. In your notes, you will update the current thing. Now I am providing you current 2024. For the year 2026, you need to add on the 2025, because till now 2024 is available. You need to update it more. Okay. Now, as you are updating it, like you will include that it includes a child stunting as well as wasting. You will explain about it. If not, like if you don't know about it, you can just give a basic reference of National Family Health Survey, because we already know we have malnutrition. So mention about it, National Family Health Survey 5.0, which highlighted that children under 5, they are stunted, they are reflecting chronic malnutrition. This is what you will start. Now, you have already started, but in the anthropology, we have nutritional anthropology as a separate, not as a separate branch, but as a separate head. So, therefore, in terms of body and to connect the intro with the body, we'll have this heading. One more thing, students are doing one blunder. They used to uh, like directly jump like after the introduction, they directly jump on the diagram. Don't do that. Do not do that. Fine. So this is how it is being done. Now, the students who are basically part of the anthropology enrichment come test series batch, all those students, they will get the diagrams also per question basis, as they can add on their notes in terms of enrichment and value addition. Okay, now in terms of nutritional anthropology, we will explain about it. Then the question is asking, tell us the method through which anthropologists assessing the nutritional status. So we'll explain the heading method of assessing nutritional status. Here we will use heading and example. See, anthropometric measurement, height, weight, body mass, skin fold, all these are providing us a way to measure. Like survey of tribal children in the Odisha, that was one of the example. Next, biochemical analysis, like biochemical, the kind of chemical that you have in your body, like lab test of the blood, of the urine, and the kind of measurement in that blood and urine, that can also help us. Like for example, if any person is feeling so much of pain in their legs and on their feet, such kind of thing, then we need to check the amount of the vitamin D and the vitamin B12, and how we can check with the help of the blood test. Fine. So that's what we are basically going to have. Now another thing that here we need to five related to the point, clinical assessment. So clinical assessment, which includes when we are trying to find out the presence of some sort of disease, like when we have the deficiency of the vitamin A. Like for example, how many cases of the scurvy are there? It means there is deficiency of the vitamin C. This is giving us the clear cut distinction about it. So through the test, through the emergence of the disease, we can get about it, and that's what we need to show. Now another thing in this question they are asking about is, discuss the significance of intersectionality of ecology, culture, social inequality. This is what we need to find out. Now see, we need to create separate point, intersectionality in the nutritional anthropology. For what? For ecology and nutrition, for culture and nutrition, for social inequality and nutrition. This is how they have asked. We will explain and provide example. Example, they are something which is required. Now as UPSC is asking, see, UPSC is not asking you to, like in the question, anywhere they haven't used the term illustrate with example. Nowhere they have used the term. But if you want to enrich your answer, if you want something more, see, no one is going to write any most beautiful answer and the most desired answer. No one is going to write. Everyone is going to write average answer. You need to write something above average, and that could be with the help of examples. Fine. Now we will explain how intersectionality of ecology and nutrition. See, it depends upon the ecology, the kind of climate in your surrounding. If you are living in a cold region, your dietary component, it should be changed. So your nutritional requirement should be changed. If you are living in a hilly region, your dietary requirement means your nutritional requirement, it would change. So therefore, there is an intersectionality of nutrition attached with the ecology. Means your surrounding, your atmosphere, your climate is somehow leading towards the nutrition. So the people who are living in a very hot region, they cannot focus upon the fat based food. Why? Because that's not going to provide them nutrition, and it again going to create more heat in their body, and their adaptability is going to be difficult. Now culture is also impacting that. See, there is a kind of a ongoing debate that vegetarian food is good, non vegetarian food is good. Now it depends. Now you must be having the example, like it depends upon the culture. Now it's the culture of the Jain, that they are not having the root based product, like they are not eating the potato, the onion, the garlic, the root based, basically carrot, radish, they are not eating, but they are eating the substitute of it, so that their body can be adaptable and can manage the nutrition. Fine. So this is the kind of thing that we need to write down. So here the cultural belief, the kind of taboo, like for example, cow, meat is being considered as an essential source of protein in North America, whereas cow meat is being considered as not desirable and it is basically banned in India. So this is the kind of thing. Now there was British Prime Minister, the Rishi Sunak ji. There was some reports once he got the position that even if he was living in the British, because he was having the Indian origin, he was not completely Indian, he was person with Indian origin. Still, he was no like was living in the British era, but he is not eating beef, he's not eating the cow meat. So this is what it's culture. So culture somehow changing the nutritional quotient. So that's what you need to write in this question. I hope you can get clarity. Fine. So here also you need to mention the social inequality and all details. Fine. Okay, now moving forward to the next question. Critically examine the drawback in assuming the culture as an integrated closed system. It means I have to first explain the culture, then culture as an integrated closed system. I mean, how could be the nature of the culture as a closed system? And then I will explain it understanding the contemporary society. It means again I have to give some references of contemporary society. So now let's do that. First, in the introduction, I have to explain about the reference of the anthropologists like classical anthropologists B. Malinowski, A. R. Radcliffe Brown. They are explaining something about functionalism and structural functionalism. Here we are providing the details about integrated and closed system. Fine. Then explain about assumption of culture as a closed system. Like it is self-sufficient, it is internal change based, it is equilibrium model. Means what are the feature which is making culture as a closed system? So culture is closed because it is creating equilibrium. Culture is closed because somehow it is self-sufficient, like villages. Villages, they have self-sufficient system, therefore their culture is a closed one. Again, there's a internal changes. Like if you will change internally after time, it means what? You are having a closed system. Of once you have as given the assumption, now you will explain like what they have said, critically examine. So first I will explain why it is so, then I will explain based upon the assumption. So what are the drawback that if culture is a closed system? See, if culture is a closed system, then diffusionism can't happen, then globalization cannot show its impact, then maybe positive things is not being taken. See, if our culture would be the closed one, then the women education cannot be openly asked. It was the influence of the British that women education again reinstated in case of India. Fine. Now, the globalization transnational flow. So, related to the globalization, remember one person, Arjun Appadurai. Arjun Appadurai, the Indologist, he gave five scape: ethnoscape, ideoscape, technoscape, financioscape, just to explain about the globalization and its effect. Like in terms of flow of technology, flow of capital, flow of ideas, flow of information, flow of finance. Fine. So just mention about him. Like if we would be close, we cannot take the benefit of all these flows. Now, another thing. Culture fluidity and the hybridity. Means it is explained that culture today they are hybrid, culture they are dynamic, and culture they are negotiated rather than the static whole. So that's how here we can explain about that how culture is helping us to create some sort of hybrid. Culture cannot be the closed system. If it is, we cannot create the hybrid system. Now, see, in Indian culture, we have the role of the westernization. If Indian culture, it would be the closed system, we cannot have the kind of hybridization, means convenience that we have. In the earlier time period, adult person, they were not having the choice to choose their own partner. But now we are providing them the same. In the earlier time, they were not having the sense regarding like you can choose your own partner or you can choose whether you want to get married or you want to study. Earlier we were not giving those chances. Fine. So this is what related to the point. Here we can also give the concept of Pierre Bourdieu about the culture capital. Culture capital is saying that culture reproduces the class inequality, which a closed system approach it would overlook. Yes, it would definitely overlook. Why? Because the people, when they don't know that they are being exploited, they would be exploited. Fine. Now next, showing the agency and some sort of subculture, like a youth subculture in the UK. We can also take the example of the Gen Z movement that is recently happening in the Nepal. We can also write that. Fine. After that, we will be mentioning that how and why shift is important. In the earlier type, we were writing about anthropological context, but here we need to write anthropological shift. The shift that's happening, the practice theory, the global and transnational, the post-colonial critique. Fine. So this is what we will be mentioning about it. Okay. Now, moving forward to the next question, that is differentiate between the pedigree and the genealogical analysis and discuss the history and application of these methods in the anthropological studies. Fine. So this is what we need to have. Now, in this basic part, what we need to do first, we will be explaining the introduction about the kinship system. Means we will be explaining about the introduction about the kinship system in the first instance. Then this is asking about differentiate between pedigree genealogical. So the system would be, first we will explain the pedigree analysis, then we will be explaining about the genealogical analysis, then similarities between them, and then the differentiation. Now in the second part, they have also asked us about the application in the anthropological studies. What are the application for that? So we would be explaining about the application also, like pedigree analysis, genealogical analysis. It help us to know about the genetic disease, like in case of thalassemia. Like in case of thalassemia, we can know the reason behind it. We can know the through the gene mapping, we can even eliminate it. Now there is another example, like for example in case of endogamous caste in India, we can also have the stance related to this. Fine. Now moving forward to the next question, that is anthropology provides a multidimensional understanding of the human being by bridging the gap between the science and the humanities. Elucidate. Now, this question is asking about the nature of anthropology either as a science or as a humanity. Fine. So, first we would be explaining about anthropology, a basic explanation about it. Once we are done with that, we are going to add upon some sort of scientific dimension of anthropology, means why anthropology is scientific. So, for that, we would be explaining about physical and biological anthropology. See the language. It studies human evolution. Yes, human genetics, human variation, adaptation, research on the human adaptation to the high altitude in Tibet and the Andes. They combine the genetics and their physiology. We can quote the example like the Sherwood Washburn. They have given the concept. Remember, there is a concept of old physical anthropology versus new physical anthropology. We can quote here. Fine. Now, next, archaeology. So, it uses scientific methods such as carbon dating, isotope analysis, GIS mapping. With the help of that, we can have the scientific dimension. Means we are using science here. Science in all the aspect. Science in terms of remote sensing, science in terms of the satellite visuals, so everything. And in the GIS mapping, we are using it. Next, nutritional anthropology. Here, we can just mark up some sort of test, lab testing, and all other details related to this part. Fine. So, this is something in terms of scientific dimension we have to mention. Now, we have to mention another dimension, that is humanistic dimension. Why? Because they are asking us to explain about either it's a science or a humanity or what kind of relationship they share. Humanistic dimension, we are going to explain cultural aspect, like social aspect, cultural aspect, linguistic aspect, interpretive aspect. So we'll explain culture anthropology. See the language. Focuses on values, belief, rituals, and meaning. Here we are providing you highly relevant model answer. We are not giving you content in terms of note making. We are just giving you as much as you can write for an answer. The language is also completely same. Like while writing in a point, we can only write this much because we don't need to explain. We just need to produce the information that we know. So therefore, whenever you are started writing the answer or your answer writing process, kindly do not try to tell them what do you know. Just stick to the demand of the question and just to the point. Express and mention to the point. Fine? Okay. Next, what you need to do, you need to bridge the science and humanity. Like how they are bridging the science and humanity through the medical anthropology, through the environmental, through the environmental anthropology, we can explain about it. Fine. So through the environmental anthropology, we can explain about it, and the forensic anthropology. So these are the kind of details that we can provide. Now, moving forward to the next question, that is, write a note on Mousterian tool tradition, Mousterian culture, and its maker. Fine, so this is what we need to do. Now, because it is an ambiguous term, so because it is an ambiguous term, therefore, therefore, here you just need to mention about the tool tradition, the time period, the era, some detail, something about it. We can explain the characteristics, but in the introduction, we have to tell a basic reference about it. Fine. So, the Mousterian tool tradition, see the language, belong to the Middle Paleolithic period. On the very first line, now see this thumb rule. In the archaeology based question, on the first line, you need to tell the time period. Now create this a thumb, as in terms of a thumb rule. Whenever you are having any question from archaeological anthropology, in the first line, mention the time period. Then mention the time period associated with whom, or you may also explain about any person related to that. Means any anthropologist who gave that concept or who studied about it. Fine. So mention about it. See, you have mentioned that Mousterian tool tradition, it belonged to the Middle Paleolithic period. It is primarily associated with Homo neanderthal. So that was related to Homo neanderthal. And they connect it with the early Homo sapiens. They represent it in terms of a major advancement. They explained it in terms of providing insights like culture, adaptability, their symbolic behavior. This is what they have related to this part. I hope you can understand. Fine. Now, what we need to do, they are asking us write a note on tool tradition. Fine. So we are going to explain tool. They want us to explain culture, okay, and their maker. Fine. So 5, 5, and 5. Let's first explain characteristic. Levallois technique. What kind of tool they were using? Side scraper, pointer, and the notch flakes. Fine. So the students who are basically part of the anthropology come enrichment batch, they will also get the diagrams for all these tool techniques and all these tools. Fine. Now, they also include the regional variation, and we need to write some sort of example. So example in terms of Lee Mouse Terrier Cave, Taboon Cave, and Neander Valley. Why? Because in these areas we found some of the details about these tools, about this technique. Now, there is another point while explaining about the Mousterian culture. What is there in terms of Mousterian culture? We will be explaining about subsistence practices, habitation, symbolism, and burial practices. This is how we have to explain. This is how we need to show that their culture, it was related to the burial practices. That's why we found the remnants. Their culture is related to subsistence practices. Why? Because during this time period, they were largely dependent upon the hunting. So their culture and the kind of tool technique that we must be finding in their culture, it is related to them only. Now Neanderthal, they are not that much old as Australopithecus are, and Homo erectus are. Therefore, here we need to provide some advanced thing. Means in terms of hunting, they got some weapon. They are polished, and they are having great knowledge of using them. They are variety of the tools and techniques. So therefore, in the Mousterian culture, we will also mention their habitation, because they started living at one place, not directly, but yes, for some period of time they started living at one place. Fine. Now we are going to explain about the maker of the Mousterian culture. Like we have Neanderthal, we will explain the basic detail of the Neanderthal, and at last we will explain what is the usage of their studies. I mean, how we can take upon their studies, the basis, like their study helping us to know about their culture, to interpret something in terms of symbolism. It is also explaining the technological things, like how in terms of technology they are improved. This is what the point that we need to find out. Now in terms of the conclusion, we will mention the basic usage, like what this tradition is providing. So the Mousterian tool tradition and its advanced technology, evidence of hunting strategies, they are providing us symbolic practices, and they are also providing an interplay of technology, environment, and emerging symbolic life. So this is what which is being provided to us, and I hope you can clearly relate with it. Now, moving forward to the next answer, that is critically examine James Fraser theory of evolutionism, elucidate the places of religion in the modernity. Very dynamic, very beautiful question. So for this, what we need to write? We need to write something to show religion in modernity. How we can write? With the help of examples. So directly UPSC not asking the example, but indirectly they are asking the example. They are asking that we have to explain something. See, first in the introduction, no need to think anything. I will just mention about James Fraser. I will explain the book name, The Golden Bough, and I will explain that he was the one who gave something about magic, religion, and science. This is the basic introduction. See, James Fraser, in his work Golden Bough, developed early anthropological theory. What about the three stages: magic, religion, and science? Now, what is the Fraser theory of evolutionism? I will explain the stages of development. I will explain the ethnographic illustration, and I will explain about the James Fraser theory. Here we'll explain about what kind of magic he was talking about. Remember in one of the part he talked about the contagious magic, imitative magic. So that's what we will be explaining. Not complete explanation, just reference. Fine. We'll explain their theory, but this question is asking about critical examine. So therefore critical examination or criticism is very much important. We would be explaining about the criticism of Fraser theory. And in this part, we are going to explain about linear and ethnocentric assumption that he had during his time period, functionalist critique, symbolic and interpretive critique. This is what we will provide. Now, another question that arises is, and that was very much important, religion in modernity. For that, you need to provide example as you can provide. Like, for example, see the digital religion. In today's time period, we have religion in modernity. The Saudi Arabia, they started the virtual Hajj. Means if you cannot come to the Hajj in the like uh, as a human being in your presence, then you can be present there in a virtual format. That is the virtual Hajj. Other than this, in the Mahakumbh 2025, you must have seen so many of the things where there was a like digital snan, like they are paying money to the person who are there in the Mahakumbh. They are sending their picture to them, and they are created a video उनका पिक्चर को मतलब पानी में डुबकी दिलवा के दैट आपको भी स्नान जो है उसका उतना ही पुण्य मिल जाएगा. And they are framing that video so that they will get the clarity, and for that act they are charging the money. That is what religion in modernity. It is in terms of practices, not in terms of professing and propagating, but in terms of practices. Another part, religion and identity politics. So religion and identity politics, which includes about the nation building, about the mobilization. For example, here you can give the example of UCC, which is bringing some sort of secularism, and yes, we can admit that. Other than this, it is also like, for example, the reason for the kind of clashes that we have, although that is politically promoted, but still this politically promoted thing, it is taking up the religion in the picture. Anything that happen, like any sort of Hindu Muslim fight regarding anything, like for example, some days back what happened is, like in the Mathura, it is banned that we cannot have the cow slaughter or any meat shop in the Mathura because it's a religious place. But we found the sect of another person, they throw some meat pieces there. So in the today's time period, because of the ethnocentric view, we can see some sort of clashes. So religion in modernity is maybe causing some sort of clashes. Now, religious conflict and violence, we can show that. Now, another point, need to explain about globalization and hybrid form. Here we need to explain about secularism, globalization. Like for example, in the Google we have search India yourself program. Like we are like having the sacred game which explore the Hindu mythology. Means in today's time period, with the usage of the global things like globalization, we are getting the details about so many things. Now religion in modernity, it is the effect of the religion in modernity is in positive sense, that now Ayurveda is reviving. The Ayurveda, the Unani, these kinds of things they are reviving. Now the people, they are not taking up the different things. Now people are focusing upon organic thing, so that is also being considered one of the part. And now in terms of the conclusion, we are basically having Fraser evolutionary framework, which was pioneer for simplifying, assuming a unilinear progression from magic to science to religion to science. And that's how you will show that it is bringing coexistence, it is bringing hybridity, it is bringing resilience. Fine. So that's how you can show about it. Okay. Likewise, we are done with the section A. In the same line, we have the section B. In the section B also, all the questions, they have been framed in this way only. Introduction, like you can see introduction, body in terms of their application, everything is available in this format only for 6, for 7 and for 8. Like you can see this for 8th A, B and C. Fine. So that's how we are having the same performa. So we basically explain the part A related to the anthropology paper 1, the model answer, detailed model answer. In the same line, we have the explanation for the section B also. And if you want to get this PDF, what you can do is to get the PDF of model answer, you can just fill the Google form, or you can just text at the number which is available in the description box. Fine. Now if you want to learn the approach, love how you can frame these type of model answer, see in our anthropology like anthropology enrichment come test series batch, we are providing you full-fledged thing where we are going to provide you 300 plus practice question with model answer, and those practice question they are being prepared on the line of UPSC, which also includes the PYQ, and all the model answer would be provided to you in terms of a complete, like for the complete syllabus, 300 plus practice question with model answer they are on the same line, so that you will do practice, you will understand. Other than this, here we are providing you 29 plus revision session so that you can revise, and in those revision session we are providing you PYQ analysis, the current affair, the examples, the case study, how to prepare the short notes, how to create the indexes for the revision. Why? Because if you are not having short note, your bulky note if not consolidated is going to be very difficult to handle. Other than this, we are also analyzing the topper's answer copy here. Now after that, we includes very important point, short note making. Here there is hand holding. I would assist you to prepare the short notes. I will help you out to consolidate your notes, and based upon that, we are going to have test, 14 sectional test and 6 full length test. And then you will get evaluation, and all these question and model answer they are completely same on the UPSC line. Fine. So now thank you so much for today. If you want to access this PDF, you can just fill the Google form. You will get all the complete answer, all the complete model answer in the same PDF. In the likewise way, we are going to have a discussion for the paper 2 also. That's going, like I will update you regarding that. Thank you so much.